Come to the pursuit of truth. Just a few things I want to get through that I noticed today, and one story from a few days ago. First, to do with the Israel-Palestine issue. I saw this news story about they were levelling these buildings. It didn't look like it was a rocket coming from above. It looked like they'd put bombs inside to detonate it because the building fell, like a demolition, a bit like the Twin Towers, kind of all the way down, not veering off to a corner. Didn't seem, unless you can get a rocket to go right at the bottom, and how would you cause it to come down from top to bottom and in a straight line? So I don't know if it was a demolition. I assume it was. They used the word levelled, if that's what they mean, or whether it was a rocket. Anyway. But the interesting thing is it just looked like a normal tower block, a residential block. Now I know they're going to say that Hamas, they live within civilian population, but this is Israel's argument, or the government of Israel, I should say. But the problem is with that is I don't understand if they are terrorists or freedom fighters, whichever one you want to call them. They're not going to have their own bases, are they? Only the government has its ability to have a base, a military base, and it can be out away from civilian targets because the government can set that up. They have the space, whereas a terrorist or a freedom fighter organisation can't go across and build, a special building for them. Away from civilian area. They're going to be, I assume by definition, living within civilian houses because they're the type of people that are going to be part of. And I'm not trying to defend Hamas or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is, like, if you look at, say, the apartheid in South Africa, obviously the Afrikaners who are in power, they could have their own military bases. Where was Nelson Mandela living? Was he living in a special military base away from civilians, or was he living in a civilian area? He was branded by Margaret Thatcher as a terrorist. Most people would consider him a freedom fighter to try and get his country back. Of course, that's a lot more clear-cut case as opposed to Israel and Palestine, because there's a lot of history, and obviously it was originally Jews that lived in Israel. So that's not as clear cut as the black people had in South Africa, being their country before the whites came. So that is more clear cut. I understand that. I'm not trying to, but what I'm trying to say is the people of the ANC, Winnie Mandela and the Red Hats, I can't remember their exact name. They were living in civilian areas. No. The IRA. Some people consider them, well, they're terrorists. Some people may consider them, maybe Sinn Féin or whatever, as freedom fighters for their country to get Ireland back from the British. They would be living in civilian areas. Surely they didn't have their own bases out in the sticks somewhere. So this argument of, it's unfortunate that we're killing civilian children and women doesn't seem to wash. And it brings me to my next argument, which is I can't say that any religious person, any person that claims to be religious, whether it's Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Judaism, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, whatever religion you claim to be of, if you can use weapons like bombs and rockets, nuclear bombs, aeroplanes to drop bombs and shoot indiscriminately people, I don't think you can call yourself religious, and I don't think you can say that you're fighting some kind of religious battle, because you have no control. Now, maybe a targeted rocket, from an airplane, you may be able to argue, yes, you have some control of who you're going to kill. You can target them with those kind of strategic weapons. But a normal Scud rocket that's just going up in the air and it's going to land somewhere, you may target where it's gonna fall, but of course the wind or all sorts of other things may cause it to land somewhere else and kill other people. What the Western people call collateral damage. But for a religious person, The idea of killing an innocent person, surely that must be so abhorrent that you wouldn't dare make that mistake. You see, I think that if you're religious, the only weapons that you could use is maybe swords and guns, normal rifles, close up, like say World War One, World War Two, where you can see the enemy, as it were. You are a soldier, and you're going to kill a soldier. You're two soldiers, not civilians. Civilians that got nothing to do with it. If you want to fight for your country, if you want to be that stupid to fight for a bit of land that you're never going to be able to obtain because no one can take anything with them, as John Lennon said, when they die, then that's up to you. But don't bring civilians into this. People that may not want to be involved in war. People that don't want to die, or their children, or their brothers, or their sisters, or their mothers, or their fathers, or their grandparents. And of course, I know I'm simplifying this, and I know, when I said the other day about, I think it's haram that these kind of weapons, bombs and rockets for Muslims. But I know, of course, the argument would be, well, of course, if the Western side of the Israel or whatever, the other side, are using these weapons, what do you expect? Do you expect them to just use stones or knives or swords? It's not going to work, is it? So yeah, I understand that, but it's just, to me, it's just so wrong that a religious person, any person who claims to be religious, whether it's Jewish, Muslim, Hamas, the Israeli government, if you're praying to God and you claim that you're religious, how do you square off the fact that you can tell your God that, oh, sorry, I killed a child by mistake. I didn't mean to. I was trying to kill that terrorist or that soldier. And then you go and do it again. That kind of mistake, I don't think, how are you expecting God to forgive you for that? God gave you wisdom, and it seems so obvious, but I think the problem is these people, they're not really that religious. Take care, easy. God bless and peace.